Welcome to In the Green Chair, an interview series by Relay Education. In each episode, we sit down with a professional who's working the green economy to learn about their story. I'm your host today, and today I'm joined with my co-host Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Ade. My name's Andrew. I'm the Green Careers Officer at Relay Education. This podcast is brought to you by Relay. We're a Canadian charity that delivers interactive programming about renewable energy, conservation, climate change, and green careers.
Throughout the series, you'll hear from professionals across a wide range of fields and sectors who all work in what we consider to be a green-collar career. Today's guest in the Green Chair is Patrice Mousseau. She is a conscious entrepreneur, a proud member of Fort William First Nation, and the founder of Satya Organic skincare. Welcome, Patrice.
Hey, Ade. So nice to meet you. Hello, Andrew. Thanks for asking me here, guys.
Thank you for being here with us. Clean skincare is a rapidly growing industry, and consumers are now more health conscious than ever. So I want to know, when did you first become interested in natural skincare?
Customers have always been interested in healthy products. It's just a matter of the information wasn't there. We didn't know actually what these large companies were putting in their skincare and what it was doing to us. My first kind of awakening around that was I was hosting a radio show actually in Toronto, and I had a guest, and she had a new book that was coming out, and it was called The Dirty Dozen. And the Dirty Dozen is a list of, just the top chemicals that are most commonly found in our household products, in our medicine cabinets right now, that are actually really bad for us, can mess up our hormones and cause cancer and are terrible for the environment. So when I got this book and I went and I looked in my medicine cabinet, I was shocked at how many products I now had to throw out. Now, fast forwarded a few years and I had a baby. And when my daughter, Esme, she's 8 months old, she got eczema. And the doctor said to me, oh, the only option was steroids, which I had seen news stories about the detriments of using steroids, particularly in long term and on children. I was like, no, there's got to be another option. So I looked at what was out there on the shelves, and again, the same problem. They were all full of garbage. So I was like, I'm a researcher. I'm going to go and look at traditional medicine. I'm going to look at the academic research that's been done. I'm going to look at medical studies. And I took all that information and I created something in my crock pot in my kitchen for her that cleared her eczema up in 2 days.
So was there anyone who you kind of looked to teach you about that stuff, or was it really just self-directed research and just your
self-directed?
own
Yeah, self-directed for sure. I come from my product, and my intention, my company is based on my values and my perspective as a mother, which is I want the best, cleanest, most effective product that is out there. But I'm standing on the shoulders of all those researchers and scientists who have published studies proving that these ingredients work.
What are the federal guidelines or government guidelines for creating and selling a skincare product in Canada?
In order to make a health claim like eczema, because it is a medical issue, you have to have provable research that says that, yes, in fact, this does work. And so all of that research is then submitted into Health Canada, and they review it and they go yay or nay. And ours was, of course, a yay.
Did you have friends and family who were like, hey, can I try what you made in your crock pot?
That was the issue, right? Because I had made this whole crock pot and my daughter's eczema was cleared up in 2 days. So I had this whole crock pot. Like, what am I going to do with this now? So I was part of a mom and babies Facebook group. And I was like, does anybody need any? And I had to make like 3 more crock pots. That was sort of like, oh, okay, I'm just going to keep doing this for people. And then it wasn't until about a year and a half later that I met someone who really inspired me. I saw these other businesses out there that were doing, that were creating things with integrity, that were still successful, still, were making profit and really trying to do good in the world. And that's when I was like, okay, well, maybe this is now becoming something I should do as a legitimate business. So I did a farmer's market to start. That was my very first sort of foray into becoming a business.
And so you start in the crock pot, you start to make these small batches, but how do you then transition that into producing it commercially?
Yeah, so that's actually a really tough point for people who are building their own products, commercial consumer goods out of their homes, which is where a lot of this stuff starts. There's a big gap between creating something in your home to going to a factory. I don't know if you've ever heard of economies of scale, which means basically the more you make, the cheaper it is per unit to make. Well, when you're just starting out, you can probably only do their smallest scale, like their smallest batch for a factory, which becomes very expensive.
It does require having some funders and some kind of investors behind you as well.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say funders. I would say support. I've been bootstrapping up to this point, which is over 900 stores across the country and exporting now to 2 different countries. And I've gotten to the point where I absolutely have to bring other investors in. I would highly suggest that if anybody is listening as a small business owner, um, be very, very, very cautious about who you're bringing in to a business relationship like that. It might sound like easy money, especially when you're desperate, you need the money to grow. First off, that's the worst time to be looking for money is when you actually need it. And secondly, these investors, these relationships, they're like marriages, and you don't want to spend your whole life working for somebody else just because they had some money that they were able to put in at the beginning. So wait to try and build as much value as you can before you get to investing. Now, when I say you can get support though, there are communities out there that are looking to support businesses right now, in particular BIPOC businesses, women-owned businesses that are incredible. Like CEO, for example, I was able to get a zero interest loan from them, which was huge for my business. There were grants out there that I could access. So yeah, and just I had a really great relationship with my bank, who's actually is a credit union, which is something else I would always recommend, credit union over the big three banks, because they will give you that personal relationship. So there are definitely ways to grow your business without having to bring in outside investors. I would push that off as much as possible.
For someone who wants to start a business, let's say 2021 is their goal, right? From start to finish, you got to register the business, you got to have a business plan. What are some important
I did not
steps?
have a business. I did not have a business
Oh,
plan.
okay. Please tell
Yeah.
us.
I think the point of your question that you're getting to is that how long does it take to do this? And I'll tell you, I am still evolving my company today. It is never done. In fact, I feel like very often every month to 2 months, it's a whole different business. So it's an evolution. It's not oh, now I'm done and here's my business. You need to look at, getting your license. And if you have the opportunity, of course, it's hard right now, but I would definitely recommend trying a farmer's market to try out your product, which was a great way to get some consumer feedback. It's just about getting started. Perfect. You'll never be perfect and it will change from week to week. So just start and don't worry about the business plan per se. It's a good idea to have like I said, some goals and some structure, and some idea of who you are and where you want to go, but don't worry about it being perfect.
And I want to talk about how the Satya products are refillable or reusable or compostable. And your
Yeah.
website has all the information on that, like really
Mhm.
your thought process behind each material that you use for packaging. But going
Mhm.
beyond that, Satya's also teamed up with the Plastic Bank. So can you share how the collaboration works to empower communities in the global south?
I'll start with the rationale of the business,
All right.
which was originally it was glass jars, okay? Because they were very recyclable and they were never going to leach into the product. So that was something I was looking at. Then we had these little tins, which were a great way to try the product that were also compostable and recyclable. And then people kept asking me, they wanted to do a stick version to make it. So they wouldn't have to put your finger in the jar. And I agreed that this was a really good idea, but I tried so many materials to try and figure this out how to not do plastic. I looked at biodegradable options, sugar, I looked at paper, everything. None of it worked. It all fell apart or it was really expensive. It just didn't work. So I thought, what if we can do a really high quality plastic, something that's reusable? So you don't really recycle this, you just keep it. And then what happens is when this is empty, you get our compostable refill pouch shipped to you in the mail. And this actually isn't plastic either. What this is non GMO corn and wood fiber that looks like plastic, but this is actually completely compostable. So you squeeze this out and you melt it and you pour it back in your stick, let it cool. and then you have something that's refillable. But as I mentioned, we are still producing plastic. So I thought, how could we do better? So I found one of only three plastic offset companies in the world, and this one is called the Plastic Bank. And so basically what happens is whenever someone buys one of our sticks, we're paying someone in a developing country to go to their waterways. Then they pull plastic out of those waterways, their streams, their rivers, their shores, take it to the local plastic bank depot for recycling, and then they get credits for medical care, educational tuition, or household items. We're basically creating entrepreneurship. So it's addressing global poverty. Those plastics go into a very innovative recycling process that actually creates what's called social plastic. So they're able to recycle far more of the plastic than we do here, say in North America. And then it's sold to large multinationals at a premium, and then it's reused in products. So it's really a circular economy. By addressing the plastic in the waterways, you're actually preventing ocean plastic, right? Because you're keeping it from actually getting to that ocean. So entrepreneurship, global poverty, um, ocean plastic, it's doing good in the world. So we're super proud to be partners with them. In addition, we are carbon neutral, completely carbon neutral with the Great Bear Rainforest Initiative as well, which is a First Nations run carbon neutral company. We try to think of every aspect of what we're doing in the world and just try to make the best, highest choice.
So that's the example there of a business being a power, a force for good as well, right?
Yeah.
Because you can make those collaborations across other platforms and with other groups doing good work around the world and
Yeah.
still earn a living, still have a successful business.
So the way I ship things is a little bit different as well. We actually hire stay-at-home moms and other caregivers across the country and in the US. We ship them product, and then they ship out from their homes using the postal service. So our customers are getting the product faster. We have lower shipping rates, and we're employing people who are technically unemployable, but are some of the best, hardest working people I've ever come across. So it's just, again, it's just about rethinking it. And it's not charity. This is just good business.
Is there anything that you never expected to be a business owner yourself? So is there anything that you wish you had known going into it? Anything that you would tell yourself, if you went back in time and spoke to yourself at that farmer's market, something you would have said to yourself, a little bit piece of advice?
You know, I have learned so much. I always say, I have no business experience, but the reality is I probably have a doctorate at this point, just with the amount of the opportunities and people I've had the chance to talk to. My number one thing is to make sure that you have community around you. So reach out to those women in business groups, reach out to those local green groups, for example, and build community. I think if COVID has shown us anything, is that how important community and connection is. Because when you share this with other people, and you're not just thinking about it from like selling your goods perspective, but also for support. Being an entrepreneur is incredibly lonely, and no one really understands it unless they've gone through it. So I would say that, as much emphasis as possible around building your network.
So the network can be important for expanding your business, but also just for that, emotional support as well, and helping to
Oh,
get through the tough times or the big questions that pop up. Right?
yes. And, learning how, like, you expand your world so much when you have that network of being able to ask people questions, ask for help, ask for recommendations. Like, there's so much power in it. I would say that I don't know a single entrepreneur that's ever succeeded without that network around them. And this illusion, for example, of like the self-made man, for example, this always makes me laugh because like they literally have a system set up around them to succeed. And that works, and that has worked very well for middle-aged white men. But for the rest of us who don't have a system that was designed for us, We need to create our own ecosystem, and that's what building community does. It gives you that same. It puts you on the level of the level playing field.
Absolutely. And I was also thinking about young adults, young women. Do you know of any mentorship initiatives, grants, or programs that young people qualify for?
So I think it's called Futures. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think if you Google it, it's like Futures. It's like a youth thing out here in the and youth is 35 and under, which I was so mad because I didn't qualify, and it was such a good program. So definitely check that out. If you are an Indigenous person, I would highly recommend checking out your local finance company, the capital company. Ours out in the BC is TAC, which stands for the Tullahout Aboriginal Capital, and they're the ones who can help you get that $5,000 grant or whatever. I think CCAB, the Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business, also has a $5,000 grant. They can help to just get your business started. I think just really researching and Googling yourself. I would avoid some of those people who are out there who want to take a percentage. Do some Googling yourself, or set up that community, create a Slack group. Everybody posts what they found, kind of thing. Like, that's a great way to find out what kind of grants are out there, because there's a lot.
That is a great resource. The label that you use, which is conscious entrepreneur, I don't think you can go to school for that. A lot of that is informed a lot of that is informed by your lived experience. And how can someone become a conscious entrepreneur?
It's how you want to move in the world,
Mhm.
right? And this idea, I think that we've always been told that there are so many barriers around, having environmentally friendly packaging, paying people a living wage, being truthful. Like, these are all things I think that we've all always been told that a business person can't do if they want to have a good business. And I don't think that's true at all. I have just been able to pivot and think creatively and look for different solutions. You do not have to do things the way that they have always been done. You could be coming up with something that's incredibly innovative, and just, yeah, just have some a little bit of belief in yourself. I think is of course key. You have to be a risk taker as well if you want to move into entrepreneurship. But I would highly recommend it. I think that there's nothing quite like it, as far as if you really want to make change in the world, that this is a really great place to do it. And there's a great community around you, out there already, that wants to do this.
Absolutely. I do think it does take you knowing yourself as well and having those boundaries. Has there been a time when you were building up your business where maybe you had to say no, thank you, because this is not right for me, or
Oh,
this
yeah.
this is not the path I want to go on?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's hard. It is a place of privilege, where you're able to say no to some people. But my sort of recommendation is to always try and grow slower as well, especially as you're starting. Just to kind of feel out, build your framework, figure out who you are, figure out who really wants your product. Don't just say yes to everything. Decide. It's why things like deciding what it is you're trying to do in the world, or what's your goal that year, is very useful to have. Because if the opportunity comes up and it doesn't fit in that, you just say no. Just say no. I have had to do it in the past, for sure. Sometimes opportunities that people are like, what, why? And it's just like, what, it was not a good relationship. It would have been a terrible ongoing sort of future move. So you just got to say no.
Are there any trends you see in skincare that you see that are exciting, and maybe ones that are focused specifically on sustainability and packaging?
There are lots of places where people can be just more conscious about their choices. And it becomes like that tipping point, like the more and more people talk about it, the more and more people do something a little bit different. You might inspire somebody else to go, yeah, you know what? We don't need a plastic wrapper around this box. But it's the beginning of a longer road, that's for sure.
Do you see any real opportunities for young people who want to get into consumer packaged goods, or get into developing their own
Oh
health
God, yeah.
products? Yeah.
I mean, when I look at my product, and there are a few others out there that are just really trying to push the envelope around customer service, transparency, the environmental aspects, you know, clean products. there is so much room for all of us. And until like these Procters and Gambles and Cloroxes and everybody else, until these guys don't have that huge market share, there's room for all of us to come up with these new and innovative things. And a lot of the products that are out there have also been made for a certain type of person. There are very few products, good products, that are focused for people of color, for Black people, because we have very unique skin needs. There's so much out there. So I would be really excited to think about like what's my idea and how can I bring that to market. So yeah, I think there's lots of room for people. One last thing, I wanted to talk to you about the name Satya. It's a philosophy. It means to pursue truth, a higher truth, like not just telling the truth, but the truth in life. And so that has always been the North Star of this company, is to not only build something that was being a role model for my daughter, but also that I would never have to question the choices because it was always based on who I was and my values and my integrity. So find your Satya.
Thank you for joining us in the Green Share today. Where can we find you on the internet?
Instagram and Twitter and Facebook is at Satya Organic. And our website is satya.ca, satya.ca.
Thank you very much, Patrice.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, guys.
We hope you enjoyed learning about the different paths people take to working in the green economy.
Follow us on social media at Relay Education and check out our website, relayeducation.com, to learn more.